Alright guys, hey, welcome back. It's your boy Ken coming at you with another video. Today, this, as the title implies, we're going to be doing a PSA Dagger with our Tactical Trigger System, TTS. So if you don't know, I have a video here on YouTube somewhere on the channel where we were introducing this trigger, that we were going to be releasing it. One of our customers come in, we did this trigger, if this is the gentleman I'm thinking of, I did it on one of his other guns. No, gentleman came in, he saw one of our test guns that had the trigger and absolutely loved it. So he dropped off his dagger and I went ahead, threw our trigger system in here, and she is beautiful. I mean, that is just phenomenal. So please follow along the video. I'm going to go over a little bit of the pricing, and I'll show you me taking the gun apart, or after it's done taken apart, and I'll show you my polishing job that I usually do. As stated in the video, it's $200. That's going to include the springs, the trigger, so parts, labor, and a polish job. If you're wondering, oh, polish job. Yeah, follow along the video. You'll see some of the stuff I do, and I'll even talk about points and the things I look for, such as contact points or friction points, and that's usually where I go through and do a polish job if need be. I'll sand up some of the rough edges, round some edges, so that the metal isn't snagging on the polymer or plastic frame if need be. But yeah, please enjoy, follow along. Leave your comments down below, let me know what you think of the video, and I'll try and do some more install and things like that in the future. Have a great day. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as stated before, this is the PSA Dagger customer brought in. He really enjoyed the feel of our TTS trigger shoe and our spring kit, as well as the polish job I've done on many other firearms. So he actually brought in his dagger. He's going to have us do the install of this here trigger system. Our trigger system, TTS, stands for the TacticalStore and Tactical Trigger Systems. Yeah. So if you hadn't seen our previous videos or any of the other ones I've done, this is our trigger shoe for the Glock Gen 3 models, or for the most part, from what we've seen, it's worked in most of the Glock clones. So I'm about to do the install on this nice, beautiful dagger here. Really improve that trigger, get rid of this hinge system that is just, it's funky. I mean, I get why they did it. It's just funky. If you felt them, you know. Our trigger here is a curved trigger. However, the face is flat, right? Where like a traditional Glock trigger, I have one right here, is rounded. See how that rounds over? So with the flatter face on this curved trigger, it really improves performance, comfortability, and you can maintain your finger placement for your follow-up shot. So it's real nice. We do have pre-travel and over-travel adjustment screws. So I'm going to really dial this bad boy in, and we're going to get into it. So this is going to be the before. Hopefully get some polishing video or pics in there. And after, see how it feels. Unfortunately, my trigger pulse gauge broke in the last video. I got one on order right now. I think I stated that in the opening scene of this video. So, thumbs up. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so I got his dagger apart. I'm going to show you the things that I'm going to be polishing up. So I'm going to go ahead and polish up his rail system. You can see here, if I can get it in the light proper, where it's rubbing. Alright, so that's a friction point. So I'm going to go ahead and polish up that section there. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to polish up the side. You can see there where it's rubbing on his striker assembly. Alright, so that's a friction point. I'm going to polish up the top, the sides, and I'm even going to polish along the shaft here where the striker sleeve, right, rubs back and forth. So we want to make that nice and smooth. That way it's a suave, as they say, transaction as your striker is moving back and forth. Trigger bar, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to polish up this front side here, because this area is what actually rides, and it'll bump and move up against the frame. So I want to get that nice and polished. I'm going to clean up the top of this area, and I'm going to polish that. You can see it's pretty rough, right? This is stamped steel. So stamped steel usually has that rough feeling, and that's where you get a lot of that grit from. So I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to polish the sides and top of it. Where the shoe is, this shoe's coming off. I'm going to polish inside. You can see in here where it rubs. I'm going to polish that up. So as the trigger shoe actuates, as it rotates back and forth on there, it's going to be much smoother, especially since our trigger shoe is metal. This is aluminum versus the plastic. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to polish up the top of this. I'm not going to touch the back for safety reasons, but I'm going to polish up the top, all of this right here. I'm going to polish up underneath. You can kind of see inside here where it's rubbing, right? That rubs along your disconnector, so I'm going to polish that, the top of it, the sides of it, make that a nice smooth transaction. I'm going to polish up the sides and the top of his safety plunger. That way, as that moves back and forth, it's going to be nice and smooth. With our trigger shoe, if you're buying the full kit, you're going to get a 6-pound striker spring. Those are all his stock ones. You're going to get a 6-pound trigger spring, and then we're actually going to throw in a lighter plunger spring. That way, that plunger moves up and down after it's been polished with that lighter spring. It's going to be nice and smooth. So yeah, I'm going to get to polishing. Alright guys, so I just went ahead and polished up this guy's parts. I don't know if you can see that here on those rails. Got underneath, sides of it, nice and smooth. Well, you can kind of see the reflection there. Psh. Went ahead, did up his trigger bar. You can see, polish the top, clean the top of that up pretty well. And if you flip over here, you can kind of see the difference. So you can see the reflection on this side, but then over here it's matte. I didn't touch this area. It's just the area where it sits on the disconnector. Your striker is going to go across the cruciform. Went ahead, see if you can see on here. Polished up the sides of that where it was rubbing real good. It's harder to see on this round surface. I'll polish the sides there. Safety plunger. Polished up the entire head so it's nice and smooth. One thing I didn't mention in the video before is I'll look at the slide. So he had like paint chips and things here from where, and this was Cerakoted, and you could see where it was rubbing. So what I did is I went ahead and moved some of the paint on there, did a light, not a heavy polish job, but a light polish job, because I don't want to take any material really off of the actual metal. So I just did enough to where it smoothed it out. Most guns I'll take a look, and I'll look and so you can see here where there's some wear on the rails. If it's really bad to where it's on both excessively, I'll go through and I'll actually clean up the slide as well, polish that up. This isn't too bad. It's very light along here, and it was very light on these rails. So I'm hoping with just doing this, you know, when I put it together, we'll see how smooth the action is. If she needs to, I'll go back in and polish this up. But generally speaking, when you do the full kit, it's roughly $200. That includes parts, labor, and this polish job. So yeah, let me know. Alright guys, there you have it. Firearm completed with the TTS trigger in there. So I'm going to go ahead and clear again, which, you know, I just put it together, but we're going to go ahead, clear, and rack the slide, and then we'll show you the trigger on her. Alrighty, so she's cocked, ready to go. You have that much take up, so it's not a whole lot. Stops right after, and that's the reset. Oh, it forces nicely. That's it. Beautiful trigger. Nice and smooth, action smooth, everything's great. I'm pretty sure the customer's going to love it. Alright.